Good morning. This is a beautiful bee day here today. Bees are out working. They probably won't even know we're around here today. So this is our beehive, and this is actually a working hive here today. Inside our beehive is a colony of bees, and I'm just gonna show you a few things inside here. What we do when we get to the hive is we use a little bit of smoke, which confuses their communication, so they don't want to be aggressive to us. So we have a little fire built in this smoker. If you can see the smoke coming here, we just put a little gentle puff at the entrance and a little puff under the lid. And the lid is stuck because they produce propolis, what they collect from trees, and they stick everything together. So we give them just a little puff of smoke under there. And I'm going to put my veil on for this part because we just don't want to get stung in the face. And we wear protective gloves. And we have this handy dandy hive tool that just helps us to pry the propolis apart. So here we have working bees, and what they're doing this time of the year is bringing in pollen from trees. Let's see, I'm going to look for the queen so you get a good chance to see her, and then we'll just put it all back together. So this is a frame with all brood. All this brown that you see is all going to emerge in a few days, and it'll all be new bees ready to go to work. They bring in nectar, and they store that on the edges so that it's right close to the babies. Give them a little more smoke. They're noisy. Noisy over here right now, so I'm just going to show you a picture of what the queen looks like. I'm going to tell you all about what they do. So in the colony is one queen, and the queen is bigger than all the rest. Can you hear me okay? Mm-hmm. She's bigger, and all she does is lay eggs. The rest of the worker bees take care of her. They feed her, they keep her clean, they keep her warm or cool, whichever she needs to be. And she can lay 1,500 to 2,000 eggs each day. When those eggs are laid, it takes 21 days before they emerge. When the worker bees emerge, they each have their job as they get older. Let me see if I can get some of these to go back. So when a worker bee emerges, the first job is to be a housekeeper. So they keep the cells clean. They're going to clean out the cells so that it gets ready for another egg or for honey. Their next job is to take care of larvae. So the larva, when the egg hatches into a larva, it needs to be fed pollen and honey. We call it bee bread. So that's their second job, is to take care of all the larvae. Their next job is to build wax. So they're going to take and build all the honeycomb comb that they put the honey in. They produce that wax. They produce the wax with a wax gland, and it comes out as a soft wax, and then they reshape it into the perfect hexagons. Would you like to find me a frame with just an empty comb? Their next job is to be a hive protector, like what all these are doing. So when they are the guard bees, they sit at the entrance, and they're ready to defend their hive from other bees or mice or other insects or people. So they sit right at the entrance, and that's their whole job at that time. In the summer, when it's 90 degrees, their summer job, the entrance bees fan the air so that it creates air conditioning. So they're going to sit at one side, and the bees on one side are going to fan the air going in, and the bees on the other side fan the air coming out. And that ventilation with the droplets of water that they have placed inside creates air condition so that it's just a perfect temperature. Their next job is the foraging, and that's their last job. After they're done with that job of foraging, they wear their wings out, and that's the end of their life then. So as they're foraging, they go and they collect either pollen or nectar. When they go out to the flowers, they collect the pollen and they walk around on the flower. All the pollen dust sticks to the hair on their body, and they combine it with an enzyme, and it gets into a little ball, and they carry it back to the hive on their back leg. And that's what they use for baby food. We also do collect pollen from them because it's also a good source of protein and vitamins for people. So this is what it looks like. There's all different colors because each flower produces a different color of pollen. When they get out to the flowers, they have, in the mornings, like this morning, they send out scout bees. Those scout bees go and look for the flowers, and they come back and they do a dance in the hive. They're going to be on the frame. So they're going to position themselves on the frame within the hive, and they're going to do a dance, and they're going to wiggle, and they turn around and wiggle, and that dance tells them which direction to go. So it's going to say go east or south, and that position on that frame is going to tell them which direction to go. The distance of that dance tells them how far away to go, and the number of wiggles they do tells them how good of a flower patch it is. The better the flower patch, the more bees they're going to need to go out and work those flowers. And as they need more bees during the day, they come back and they put their front legs on the other bees and give them a shake and say, let's get to work. If we have more flowers out here. As they visit the flowers, they leave a pheromone, a scent, that tells the other bees that that flower has already been worked. As they bring that nectar back, it goes into their honey stomachs. They bring it back and they give it to a receiving bee, which is inside the colony, and the receiver bee then takes and puts it in the proper cell. The other worker bee, the forager, can just get right back out and get to work where she knew the flower patch was. So when they bring that nectar in, They put it in the cells, they fan it, because when they bring nectar in, it's watery. And they fan it until it's just the right moisture, down to 18% moisture. And then they put a cap on it. So then the wax bees put more wax on top of the honey. So this frame weighs about 5 or 6 pounds. It's full of honey, and the bees have put this wax on top of here. Now this honey will never spoil. We could come back 1,000 years from now and this will still be perfectly good honey. We'll just talk about this at this time too. When I want to harvest this honey, I take my hot knife. So this is going to be plugged in. It's going to be hot, and it's going to melt this wax right off of here. So I take and I cut that wax off, both sides, and we put it in our extractor. So this one holds 2 frames. The one we use for our big extracting holds 32 frames, and it's electric. So this one, you get 2 frames in here, and then we spin it. We spin it, it probably will take 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how warm the honey is. And that centrifugal force forces the honey out of those cells, and then it drips to the bottom, and we open the gate and get to serve it to you. This is 2 pounds of honey. It takes about 1,500 bees their whole life to make this much. So they only make 1/12 of a teaspoon. So it takes 12 bees their whole lifetime, which is 6 weeks in the summer, to make just a teaspoon of honey. When I cut that wax cap off, I let the honey drip out, or I let the bees clean the honey off the wax. And then I melt those cappings, we call them, and then I get to have this beeswax to use for other things. I make lip balm and hand lotion, and candles are just a few of the things you can do with that beeswax. This is what it looks like when we want to serve it just as a comb honey. You just get to eat the wax and all, and it's delicious. Now when I get stung, notice I said when, because I do get stung. I've already been stung today. But when you get stung, if you're ever out in the flowers anywhere and you get stung, you want to scrape the stinger out as soon as you can. If you pinch it and pull it out, then you're pushing that venom into you, and it's going to react longer. But if you can get that stinger out quickly, you're not going to react as much. Now sometimes there's a lot of bees in this hive, and they're crowded, and they're gonna move on. So what they do is they chase the queen around for 3 days so she can lose weight, so she's able to fly. Then they're gonna push her out, and half of the worker bees are gonna go with her, and you might see a swarm of bees in a tree or on a fence post, but they're gonna take off and they're gonna go find a new home. From this swarm, they send out several different groups of scout bees to look for a new home. And they aren't going to go anywhere until they all agree which is the best home. So one group of scouts has to be real convincing that their place is the best. And then within a day, they take off, and they might even go 5 miles looking for, after they have found a new home. They might go in a hollow tree or in a building. Okay, then we have bees that are left back here that have started to rear a new queen. And the queen cell looks like this. It's just a regular worker egg that they feed lots of royal jelly to, and in 16 days it will emerge as a queen. Then she needs, after she has emerged and lives in with these bees for a while, then she leaves the hive 30 feet in the air where the drones are. The drones are the males, and she has her mating flight. She only leaves the colony 1 or 2 days ever, and so she'll take her mating flight and then come back, and in 5 more days she'll start to lay eggs, and then she'll be the queen of the colony. Do you have a question? Sometimes that's
No, you answered the questions that I've been thinking. I was wondering how long they lived, those worker bees, and how does a bee know which job it's going to do?
It's their God-given instinct. It just progresses as they get older. So as their first job, which I should learn from my bees, is to clean house, and then they progress from there.
Okay.
Let's see. Do you have any other questions?
I think you've done a great job. I think the kids are going to enjoy it, and they're going to love their new outdoor classroom setting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marlene.